players ain't a good look. To be fair with you, I'd rather go for Chelsea's younger players like Livramento. You lot have seen me speak about him before. I would love that young right back. I would have loved Lamptey. You know, I don't really care where they come from. It's just the fact, excluding Tammy, when we sign people from Chelsea, they're people that are past it or they're duds. Like I think Cech was a better player than many people give him credit for, but Peter Cech was past it. David Luiz past it. Willian past it. Gallas, terrorist at this football club. Who else is there? Lassana Diarra wasn't past it, but he only lasted 6 months. So we're buying duds. If you buy the good ones, it doesn't matter, man. Please tell me Tammy to Arsenal isn't true. Please, no more Chelsea, man. Tammy doesn't fill me with hope. I ain't gonna lie. Tammy is not worth it to be at Arsenal. Bro, you lot are out here, man. You lot are out here. I appreciate it. I like Tammy, very underrated, tall, fast, young, and athletic, like a real Adebayor. I'm excited, but not for a player who can't get a game. To be fair with you, that's not fair. There's many players that can't get a game. Lacazette is very similar to Firmino. No, he's not. He's nowhere near as creative as Firmino. And even both of their creativity is extremely overstated. You know, they're both similar in the fact that they get a lot of luxuries because they don't score goals. They get a lot of luxuries to hide behind personally. Large up yourself, DJ. I can appreciate that. I can't tell you. I appreciate that, stylish. Big up the members. I can't tell you why, but I ain't feeling Tammy. Pause. Again, you know, big up the Polish viewers if I haven't said such already. Shout out to the Twitch gang. Very good opinions coming. 249. Please make sure you're hitting that like button. Hey, DG, big up yourself. I'm back at work today after being out for over a month with a bad hip, but I'm taking my lunch break early. Can't miss the live stream. First and foremost, I appreciate the fact that you like my content, that you tune into my content. Paul, I also appreciate the fact that unlike some, you've actually listened and you're supporting the thing across Twitch. I'm happy, more importantly than that obviously you're over your hip problem. Or you're on the mend, or you're better than you was, you know, a few months ago. So yeah, man, happy you've got your health and you're on the mend and you're able, you know, to get back on, to get back on work and provide for yourself and your family and things like that, man. Hopefully there's no setbacks. Hopefully you have a good day, and I'm happy that you're tuned into my content, man, but take it easy, man. Tammy would do a job for you still. Again, it's crazy, you know, it's crazy. I'm loving the opinions, man. I'm loving it. Big up Jason as well. I should call you Slick Skills 10, but I'm just stuck on your YouTube username, broski. Tammy would be perfect for West Ham, in my opinion. True. And even when you look at it, it's a West Ham guy that's saying that Tammy's coming to Arsenal, sort of thing. Or it's a West Ham fan that's a journalist. Now, when you read between the lines a bit, could that tell you everything? So, yeah, I think with that, keep your opinions and that coming. I promise I'm going to keep going into them. But I think with that, we've set ourselves up perfectly to just do this Tammy Abraham thing really quickly. Let's just speak about Tammy very quickly. 40 million obligation is a mad one, and that is a mad one for me because it's not, but it is, you know. 40 million is a lot for Arsenal, where we have to mismanage, where we have to look after what we're doing and we can't mismanage our finances. But 40 million is not that much. And when I look at it, you know, the key thing is whether Tammy Abraham will improve or not, and I'm going to get into it. But 40 million, whether it happens or not, 40 million, 23, he's only going to get better. You should be able to get that. You know, that's the positive. You should be able to get that back. You know, he's 23, ties into what we have. He's a London boy. He's homegrown. His tweets always resurfacing about Arsenal. He feels a bit, and this is probably why I kind of don't want him as much as I like him. I think every player is a confidence player, but I think we've got too many of them volatile confidence players. It's like every game you have to have your arm over him, telling him how good he is, or he's gonna, you know, feel some sort of way. I think Tammy's a bit like that. I think a confident Tammy can get 20 league goals at a football club, whether it would be for us. For me, obviously, you're not going to sign no big boy strikers for 40 million unless it's a scouting thing and you've seen someone with potential. But people might say, you know, you're better off spending that on a next striker, or you know, we've seen us being linked with Isaac. You're better off just putting that 40 million away for a year and seeing what we can do. Because while Tammy has age on his side and compared to the other strikers, and there's an elephant in the room there, you could argue that 40 million could be spent better in relation to fixing up our midfield, looking at a right back. You know, you hear we're at loggerheads over hour and things like that. I do think we need a striker long term. I do think striker is a need for Arsenal, but there's priorities elsewhere. Are we continuing to make ourselves top heavy? And also, you know, that tells you Lacazette is probably going to be moved on, because you can't have Lacazette. Well, Aubameyang can play on the wings, but you can't have Lacazette, Balogun, Aubameyang, Martinelli, you know, all of Eddie's probably going to leave, but him, you can't have all of these strikers. I know everyone can play in a couple of different roles, but you can't have all of these strikers on the books for most teams, and especially us, because we've got 40 games, 38 in the league, 40 games minimum next season, provided we don't go further than the first round or the first stage that we play in the cup game. So there isn't too much football. Obviously, there's resale value. He's 23, he ties into the long term. I hear it, but you know, there's an elephant in the room. If Lacazette doesn't score goals next season, if Aubameyang persists with this, I do think Tammy can do a thing. I think he can get 18 to 20 goals in the league. Where I have an issue with him is that he needs to be worked with. And again, that's probably a plus point to sign Tammy Abraham, really. I think he needs to be worked with. I still think he's very raw across several aspects. It's like, for a big man, you should be able to header and your hold-up play should be good. It's not good enough. Sometimes I think his movement's elite, but he's not. He's very reactive. He's not proactive. There's many times he does, like, the ball's about to come into the box. He's not expecting a defender to miss it. And as a striker, you've got to be like that. These are things that can be worked on. But there's all of this sort of stuff. I think his hold-up play is not quite good enough. I think he's a bit like Aubameyang in that he needs bare chances to score. So there's a lot of issues in relation to Tammy. But I do like him as a footballer, and I would not mind him stepping into the football club. My problem would be, you know, if you're bringing in a striker, it needs to be better than what we have, or potential to be better than what we have. And which, you know, Tammy, if given opportunities, he can score. But £40 million, an obligation for 40 million without knowing what we're trying to do next season. We're throwing away 40 million before we've addressed more key areas. It would be nonsense, wouldn't it? Really and truly. And spare a thought for Balogun, because the club owe Balogun nothing because no one told him to sign a deal. But I wonder how he feels, you know, if Tammy does walk in and stuff like that, and Martinelli as well, because for me, where does it leave them? Surely Balogun would have to go out on loan. You know, if somebody gets injured, things change. But if you bring in Tammy, Balogun has to, like, for me, he needs to play significant football, go out on loan. What happens to the Martinelli through the middle experiment or whatever? I don't know where we're at with that one there, people. You know, he is 23 and he's only going to get better, but is he the man for the short, medium and long term? Now, on the basis of age and his pedigree, he could be, but if something happens short term, is he gonna be able to step up and score goals like historically Aubameyang and to a degree like last year? I think he can, but I don't know it. And for Chelsea, they're laughing if they get 40 million for a player running down his deal and evidently not in the manager's plans. I did feel, we've spoken about Tammy a lot, and I've said Chelsea should be getting 40, 50 million for him. I've been saying that last season when I was using him as an example for Eddie Nketiah and developing players that aren't necessarily going to have a future. You know, for me, it's another project as well. Fair enough, Tammy scored against us. Fair enough, he's a London boy. Fair enough, he's actually an Arsenal fan. But he's another player that would have to be worked with. You know, when you look at Tavares, he's a squad player, but he's not the finished article as a left back. He's 21. You have to work with him. Lokonga, you have to work with him. Tammy Abraham, we've just spoke about things. You have to work with him. And, you know, it is easier said than done. It is very hard. But when you've got a season where Arsenal fans will, you know, if there's a style of playing, you're developing young players, we might allow you. But, you know, as much as fans say they want, you know, they want all of this, it's just about winning games and getting into Europe and things like that. And next season, we can't afford to. So do I think he has the ability to do it all? Probably not, because I look at Holding and Pepe. I think they have improved, but there's too many incidences. If you're harsh to Arteta, you look and say, oh, what happened with Guendouzi? What happened with Saliba? You know, what's going on with Martinelli? Why wasn't Pepe playing? You made a big song and dance about Reece Nelson. Why weren't Nelson getting a look in? You know, what's happening with this guy? What's happening with that guy? Especially see the theme. Why ain't Balogun playing and that? When you've got all of that with these young players and you're going to throw a next man into the mix in Tammy, does it make sense as a fan? Because I can only go off what I see and hear. I don't know what, you know, you might think Balogun's the best thing since sliced bread. You just think it's a timing thing. You're waiting to give him chances. But as a fan, I don't know that. If you don't communicate that, you know, to the fans and urge patience and you do things, I don't know what's going on. So Tammy, I don't know. And for Tammy, are you going to be the top dog here? Because I can't lie, I like Tammy, but for me, I'm trying to play. If any young player gets opportunities, I'm trying to give Martinelli that personally. I know Tammy's ahead of him as a striker, but I'm trying to give it to Martinelli. I'm trying to see Aubameyang return to goal scoring ways. Lacazette, if he's here, I'm not going to sit here and kid myself. I would personally utilize Lacazette if he stays. So again, Tammy, it could be the same thing. Well, not the same, but a similar thing at Chelsea. In that, are you going to be first choice? For me, you should be going West Ham. And them things there. Build up your name, play regular football. You know, if you go West Ham and you play regular football in a World Cup year, there's no way you can't get in ahead of Ollie Watkins, in my opinion. And cause problems for Calvert-Lewin. You've got more to your game than Dominic Calvert-Lewin, so you could get into the English side. Are you going to do that at Arsenal? I don't know, people. You know, like I said, for me, his link-up play isn't quite to the standard I think we need. And it would need to be worked with, and the confidence and all the things I've said. You know, Arteta would probably use him as a rotational player like he does with the other strikers. I think Arteta likes Eddie, Balogun and Lacazette. I mean, not Balogun, Aubameyang, Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah, who were the three primary strikers. You've seen at times they've all been the undoubted starter, but whether it's been Aubameyang off the left, Laka not always starting 90 minutes, Eddie coming out the team, he likes their strengths. And I've said it before, I think if he could add all of them together, he'd have his striker, but you can't do that. I don't think he's quite convinced. So as a fan, on their place to make them a regular. So I can't, again, there might be something I don't know, but I can't look at Aubameyang, Lacazette, not Eddie, but Eddie to paint the picture and then say, cool, these lot weren't really felt by Arteta consistently. How the hell is Tammy? Because Tammy's link-up playing good enough, you know. I was quite shocked with how poor Tammy actually is in the air and his hold-up play for a big man, if I'm completely honest with you. I like Tammy, but I do think he's had to rely on his pause. He's had to rely on his size a lot in football, and I think it's just hitting him. He's got a good record. He's done it in the Championship. He's done respectable things in the league. Technically, I don't know if he finished it, but what was he? Was he not like Chelsea's top goal scorer until he got rubbed out, people? Again, we'll look at the statistics last season. Tammy only got seven goals / assists last season. You sure that's true? Are you sure? You know, again, I trust you lot, so I'm gonna find that myself. But I can't lie, I don't believe you, bro. But I want you to be right. I want you to be right, because again, I swear he was their top goal scorer at a time. If he's their top goal scorer with 7 goals / assists, I don't believe that. And it is what it is. I mean, you know, whatever you say about Tammy, there's something there. You know, 26 appearances in 89 Premier League games, and how many of them have been starters? Some of that is probably affected by when he was at Swansea and he was a young guy and it was a tough season for everybody. Yeah, all right, cool, you're right. 6 goals, 2 assists, 12 in all comps. But again, he only played 22 times, people. So again, he probably would have hit double figs. I wonder what his top goal scoring season is. So big up you, Josh, man. You was going to get blocked if you done me dirty. Yeah, man played 90 minutes once in the Champions League, as you can see there. What's all these irrelevant things, man? Make sure this is the right season. Trust me. There we go. Fair play. You know, he started off all right. He scored a scumbag goal against us, and then he got rubbed out. So he's been a bit part player. And it's the same things, you know. It's the catch-22 as a striker, people. That's not what we're here to speak about first. It's catch-22 as a striker, people. In that. The modern day, you can't, you know, goals are, you know, Lacazette, he's got a lot about him. He can drop deep, he can do all of these things, but he's not a prolific goal scorer. As a striker, you're only going to be so good if you, depending on what goals. You can have the link-up play, you can have the work rate, you can get the best out of other players, you could be the perfect link-up man. People could say you'd be better in 4-4-2 days. You can have all of that, but regardless, if you're not scoring 20 league minimum and beyond that, even 20 league goals is shunned upon. In my opinion, you can only be so good as a striker. That's why for all Lacazette's strengths, there's not really a logical reason to give him a new deal. But then again, you have the flip side of it, where you've got someone that, like, we've actually got perfect examples. Aubameyang, his hold up play and link up play is better than people give him credit for, but it's not levels. What allows him is the goal scoring. You know, he can't rely on the goal scoring, because you take that away, you're not bringing nothing into it. So you can see the catch-22 of life. And that's why Thomas Tuchel wants to rub him out. He clearly can score goals, but he's not. Why do you think Werner plays ahead of him? Werner does everything well apart from scoring. Werner's got more to his game than Tammy. I'd rather Tammy, but I can understand why Werner's more so in that system, because he fits it a bit better. I don't know for intelligence, but he just got a bit more about him. But fundamentally, goals, bad games, and that's not what Thomas Tuchel necessarily cares about. Saying that, they're trying to buy Haaland allegedly, and Lukaku, and even Lewandowski's been linked with Chelsea. Please make sure you're hitting the like button and subscribing on Twitch. People, please get your opinions in. As I said, it all depends where you read this, because I don't think we're signing Tammy. We're just here to speculate. Fabrizio Romano came out early doors and said Arsenal are currently not in advanced talks for Tammy Abraham. They are informed on his situation as they like him, but it's not an advanced deal yet. Chelsea, are aware of Arsenal's interest, but have not received any official bid from Arsenal as of today. So I personally would have expected Tammy Abraham to be, I don't know how high on the list, but a list of strikers in the event that Lacazette does leave, in my opinion. And then based on reports, it's gone on beyond that. So that's what Fabrizio Romano has said, people. But then you look at the Daily Mail, Arsenal are set to win the race for one-to-way striker Tammy Abraham, with Mikel Arteta looking to strike a loan agreement, including a 40 million buy obligation, as rivals Tottenham and West Ham struggle to meet Chelsea's demands. Arsenal reportedly the favourites to sign Chelsea sought after striker Tammy Abraham, with Mikel Arteta looking to wrap up a loan deal. The 23-year-old, who scored in a pre-season victory over Peterborough last week, has been made surplus to requirements by Thomas Tuchel and is expected to depart the club this summer. Arsenal are one of several teams chasing Tammy Abraham, including Tottenham, West Ham, but now look set to beat their rivals to his signature. So our name, like it could always be, could just be used to pressure whoever actually is buying him to get it done. According to The Sun, Chelsea are prepared to let Tammy Abraham join the Gunners on loan this season if a 40 million obligation to buy clause is included in the deal. Tammy is understood to have sentimental feelings towards Arsenal, having grown up supporting the club and idolising Henry, as you'd expect a young striker living in London to have. But, that's all irrelevant. Arsenal would likely pay a large chunk, if not all of his wages, to sign him on loan, which would see Chelsea's wage bill reduced by 80k. So again, if we're signing him on loan, you probably have to let Laka or Aubameyang go, because how do you justify paying 80,000? It's not the bit most, but how do you justify bringing in a striker without adjusting other areas? And then he'd probably be third choice at the start of it, which doesn't make any sense, people. Maybe second if he can eclipse Lacazette. It don't really make sense, really and truly. Again, when we have to manage stuff. Obviously, if you think he's an opportunity too good to turn down, but yeah, I mean, this is the pretty damning one, isn't it? Tuchel is desperate to sign a top quality striker this season, as he looks to build on his incredible Champions League triumph. And again, he doesn't reckon he can do that with Tammy. You heard Tammy was offered to Dortmund to try and grab someone. The one thing that might keep Tammy at Chelsea is you don't know what's happening in relation to their pursuit for a striker. You've seen Armando Borja, the young Albanian international who's recently, made his debut at full club level, was at Vitesse. He's signed a new deal and he'll probably fill Tammy's role this season if Tammy does leave. So they're keeping a couple people around the squad. So again, it probably just is nonsense, people. Chelsea are prepared to let Tammy join Arsenal on loan to speed through the deal. We're emerging as favourites in a three-way chase. Now, I personally think West Ham want him. Tottenham, I can't lie. If I'm Chelsea, I'm not trying to do business with Tottenham, because you, man, probably wouldn't let us get Kane. If there's something to be done there with Kane, Kane and some money and, some money and Tammy for Kane, then we can talk. I think West Ham's the only team that's legitimately proper interested in him. And somehow some journalists are just getting a payday out of this, really. And he'd be a fantastic signing for West Ham, and money well spent, in my opinion, because he just needs a platform, people. So yeah, all the reports seem to be quite consistent in us being linked with Tammy Abraham. Obviously, Giroud has joined AC Milan as well. So we'll have to see what happens in that regard. I don't know how true this is, but you lot, I swear they must listen to my live streams. If we're going to get anyone from Chelsea, for me, people, it should be this Tino Livramento. If you lot remember when he played on the under-23s against us, he gave Joe Lopez a torrid time, if I remember correctly. He's a right back I've seen a decent amount of. Apparently, Brighton are the ones closest to getting him. So you can imagine the payday they're going to get when they do sell him and Lamptey, or indirectly they have a replacement for either or. He's a very good fullback. He's able to go forward. He's good 1v1. He's 18, so there's a lot of development. But I think he'd be better than what we've got in our academy. And I think there's a role in his first team. Like, first half of the season, learn your craft, Second half of the season and beyond, he could be a good find for us and he'd have resale value. I personally would love that, But again, Chelsea are probably not going to make it easy for us to obtain that player. If we're going to sign anyone, it should be him, in my humble opinion. When you look at Tammy, he did only bag 6 times. He still ended up their top goal scorer with 12, but he's played minimalness. He only played 231 minutes of their Champions League campaign. Quite harsh. Where is trying to find historically his goals for Chelsea, because he's not dead. Like, he's not pleasing on the eye, but he's not dead. There is something to build upon. 40 appearances, 26 goals for Aston Villa, 26 goals for Bristol in 48, and 30 in 82 for Chelsea, coupled with 12 assists. Not too many of them were probably in big games in that. Well, he scored against us, but there's something there. He turns 24. He's still young. I don't know if he'll ever be mentioned in the same bracket as these strikers, but where was Aubameyang, Harry Kane, and Jamie Vardy at 23? None of them were regulars in the Premier League, forgive me if I'm wrong, or in whatever they were doing. They weren't as household names as they were at 26, 27, 28, 29. So it's all that, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But that's what I feel in it. That's my opinions on Tammy Abraham. People, let me take in a bit more of what you guys are saying. Please make sure you're smashing the like button and all of those sort of things, folks. Obviously, after this, I'll be at 3 o'clock. I'll be going live again. So please make sure you set your reminders and you've hit the like button at my next watch along. Please make sure you're subscribing on Twitch. Deluded Gooner, again, appreciate you lot. Please make sure you're checking out the DG merch as well. Again, links have all been filtered in. You should be seeing the merchandise at the bottom of this vid. So it is what it is, man. Big up yourself as well. We need a prolific striker. I want to if we're bringing in a striker, I'm open to it, but it should be evidently better than what we have. Tammy might long-term be better than what we have, but right now he isn't that. I'm just seeing, I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know if you're the first choice. £40 million. I don't really see it. I'm not really buying it, man, personally. It is what it is, man. We need to make that an option, not an obligation. It'd be suicidal for Chelsea to let him go with under them circumstances, because he's got a year left. They need to probably move him on. What other opinions have we got, man? Man, them need to start putting respect on Marina's name. 50 for Morata and now 40 for Tammy. I mean, how much did you pay for Morata? But you're right, Marina does her thing. Really good example of stuff. Good money, made Giroud sign a new deal. So it's only £1 million, but you sold him. Got a little piece. And that's one thing I like about Chelsea. Obviously, it must be gutting seeing all of these young players leaving, but that's the reality of the situation. If you can get 40, 50 million for Tammy, if you can get a respectable fee for Tomori and the rest of them, these guys might go off and become bad boy footballers similar to Kevin and Salah and Lukaku and Pete. Chelsea fans might sit there and say, what happened? But it's a business, innit? And it's not everyone is going to come from the academy and play. It's impossible. If you're going to get, and Tammy can leave with his head held high, bro. Man's played 80 something times. I just said for Chelsea or something. I might be gassing it, but he's played a lot of times for Chelsea. He's technically won Champions League, so he can leave with his head held high. It's not everybody, and that's something I would like my club to understand. Not everyone has to always come on the journey. Certain players are going to do what Saka is doing in the Arsenal aspect. First name on the team sheet, star boys. Certain men are going to be squad players. Certain men are going to be utility players. Certain people are going to be not quite star boys, but first team regulars and that. Certain people are going to be here for a season in and out. And certain people just can't help us on the journey. Like Eddie, with respect to Eddie, he might become a bad boy striker in a few years, but he might need to go elsewhere to grow, and we might need him to go elsewhere, sort of thing. So if you can get decent money, I just said he's got a year left, and it's a rare one with Chelsea that you see a man or a young player he's going down into his last year. It's a rare one. You barely see that, where you look at us, you've got Eddie, you've got Nelson, we dodged the bullet, God's grace, with Saka. Smith Rowe probably signs a new deal, but we don't know where it is. So that's one thing I admire about Chelsea. You lot are proactive with that sort of thing, but you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. You know what? You've seen Gurhey leave. One other brother is leaving. It begins with an S. One centre half. Hart Paris, Livramento, Lewis Bate going to Leeds. I don't know if that's the right way for him in terms of breaking into a team, but he wants to go there. You're going to have this. And to be honest, if you don't make it at Chelsea, you have half of, if you get released by Chelsea, the only way is up, in my opinion, because you start having careers, Medley, Brewster, even the other, people don't even remember. His brother's just signed the scholarship, Elise, he got released from Chelsea. He's gone to Reading, he's done all right, sort of thing. So, yeah, man, but less of the praise in the boys in blue and them thing there, man. But you're right, still 463 people locked in. Please make sure we're having good manners and we're hitting that like button, people. Where are we at in terms of likes? Let me pre that one as well. 185 likes, people. We're off to a great start. Please keep running that up, people. I'm very appreciative. Can we get to 200? Big up the Twitch gang, Rico Fly. Hope you have a great day, my brother. Always brightening my day with constant content. Keep pushing, bro. Always, man. I appreciate that. B, I appreciate that as well, man. Let's get to 200 likes, man. Come on, man. I don't see the downside in getting him on loan without that obligation, though. If he plays cheats, then don't play him. But then again, Arteta will find a way to play him. Bro, then it's silly because, again, this is Arsenal's problem. We have big transfers, yeah, and we say that's mismanagement, but we don't talk about these loan signings or these free transfers. For me, it's just, I don't have nothing against Tammy. If he comes, it's just about justifying it, justify why he's in there. Because for me, if you've got no upside, then you're developing a player for someone else, you're putting them in the shop market for someone else if there is no obligation to buy. If he comes and he bangs it, what happens there? And again, it would be silly for Chelsea to let him go on loan without an obligation or something, because his deal's running down. Or Daily Mail or West in it. Like I said, don't shoot the messenger. It's just something to talk about, man. It's just an excuse for me to be online with you lot in it. So this is them in it. Tammy is not it. Isn't great technically on the ball or in the air despite his height. If Oba and at times Laka struggled last season, what makes you think Tammy will kick on over here? Interesting comments, and you can't really disagree, man. It's crazy, isn't it? Meaty. You lot are harsh though. Tammy showed he was good, but last season he was overshadowed. It happens. I just don't think the manager likes you, bro. Big up Brixton in the building. It happens in football. Tammy's just not the guy for Thomas Tuchel. Because there's no way, on current form, there's no way to play Werner over Tammy. It's just he doesn't like you, Fam, there's no point getting caught up. Forget who people support when they were young, man. Like, it's done, innit? Like, once you're in that environment, you have to be professional, man. Like, him being an Arsenal fan is not relevant, but it's the same fan base that were, who's that? I don't even remember his name. Jenkinson. Man wanted to keep Jenkinson just because he's an Arsenal fan and he's a grown man with Arsenal pillows. Come on now, man. Fans always talk about being harsh and being critical and stuff. They're never critical when it comes to shit players or people that, have love dramas around them or whatever, man. It is what it is. Tammy scored against us. Not really an achievement. Everyone could score against us, really. 200 likes checked. Thank you very much, people. Can we now start our assault to 300? We're at 224. Great start, man. Will you be happy if Laka is sold and sign Abraham? On the basis of the players, not necessarily the individuals, but you've let your older striker go, you've brought in a young one, so you have addressed the area. Not really, because I don't mind Tammy. I actually like Tammy, but I can't justify it. I don't know how he improves this team. He might improve as a footballer, but I don't know how he improves this team. And if you're bringing in a striker of all places, where I think we need to look for a striker, there could be an elephant in the room with Lacazette not being a 20 league goal man, with Aubameyang losing his goal scoring boots. But is that Tammy Abraham? And it's all about justifying it. I'm not saying it's the worst option, but if he signs for us and it doesn't bang, someone's got to answer for it, and not enough people are held accountable. I'd rather try and find an equivalent, that's playing in the lower league somewhere or whatever, because it's less of a risk. 40 M's. He's a decent player, but I don't know. Are you significantly better than what we have? I think a lot of our goals could be, a lot of our attack could be fixed with better coaching, because we're ninth for goals, people. Ivan Toney, big up Con, we'll see in the Prem. He's got to pass that Prem test for a year for me. I like him, but I'm not convinced in terms of me sitting here and screaming, yo, sign for Arsenal. I don't think he's got enough about him, in my humble opinion. But a lot can change, man. A lot can change. Martinelli shafted again if Tammy comes, but we do need another striker, whether it's Tammy or not. I refuse another season of Aubameyang's insanity. Tammy to Arsenal, is it from a reliable source? By the way, Chelsea paid 69 million for Morata and got all 69 back. Loan fee plus obligation to buy. Tammy is contracted until 2022. So yeah, they have to make a decision on the guy's deal, man. And that's another thing, because you don't want to be putting someone in the shop window for a next club. Like, if it's like Odegaard, it's the same logic. You ain't got no buy option. When Tammy's playing well for us, if it did happen, you're developing a player for Chelsea. Chelsea say thank you. Thank you. He's got a year left. He'll have interest now. We wanted 40 million last season. No one come with it. We're gonna get our 50 million. Thank you for developing him. That's dead. As a Villa fan, Tammy is great if you create chances for him. Still needs work on aspects of his game, though, to be a top player. Trust me. And for me, it's the lack of proactiveness with Tammy. He doesn't, as a striker and as a defender, it's centre half especially, you've got to be proactive. Tammy just waits for things to happen. There's how many times you see balls when he was playing whipped across Chelsea's box. Someone's just got a gamble. You just follow in. You can grab a tap in. He doesn't. He's there with his hands on his head like a fan. And that sort of stuff is mainly, you can do the training thing, bare balls on the field, mannequins and that, but it's about changing your thinking. Look at Sterling. His thinking has changed. You know, he understands to do several other things. So yeah, man, he's a decent squad player. But are we spending 40 million on a squad player? I thought our days were done of that, really. You know, it's absolute mazzoline, man. Not with this Tammy move, no room for profit once Balogun or Martinelli develop into first team players. Not sure that's true. He's 23, but I agree with what you're saying, man. Absolute madness. It is a madness. You know, we would have got fleeced. I'd rather try a mad risk, man. If we got top four, then then I assume you're saying then we must be in the hat for Haaland for sure. I think you're dream chasing. Arsenal will never, ever, 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 ever be in the race for Haaland. I'd love to be wrong, but let's be serious, man. Let's make sure everyone is hitting the like. We could have 500 likes by now. I appreciate the members and big up to C for making sure you don't forget. I know we're having great chat, but make sure you're hitting the like button, man. I don't think Eddie needs to be replaced. Like, I just think Balogun, well, for me, Project Martinelli through the middle. You've got Balogun there. Let's see how good or not Balogun is. I'd rather that, really. So it's a bit of it's a mad myth, if I'm completely honest with you. So yeah, man, that's Tammy Abraham, really and truly.